for long-term liabilities. Okay, we talked about last week about current. Now let's focus more about the long-term liabilities. Again, I think we talk about compare bond financing with stock financing. And bond financing is a bit different. Remember, bond, when you buy a bond with a company. Again here, so we have a bond issue today. Remember, bond, you got to take account certain things. Interest payments. Okay, that's the thing when you get a bond. A stock, you get dividends back. A bond, you receive interest. The bond's par value, its original value, times interest rate, times time. Again, people can invest with that. You can buy bonds, public bonds, with city governments, state governments, even sometimes federal governments. Or you buy a bond with a company. You can buy a bond with Apple or Google. Again, why some companies prefer to sell bonds? Remember, you get no ownership. Even if you have billions of dollars worth of bonds, you have absolutely no ownership of the company. A company, if they pay you out interest on bonds, it's tax deductible for them. It means they pay less taxes and increase return on equity. But here's the real downside for companies selling bonds or government. They have to pay you back interest. Remember, a dividend, a stock, they don't have to pay you dividends. It's their discretion. A bond, you're required to. And you have to pay back the entire bond value at maturity. And sometimes it actually goes the opposite. Sometimes instead of increase return on equity, sometimes it can actually decrease it. Again, bonds, just like you trade stocks in the market, you can do the same thing with bonds. Again, bond issue procedure we talked about here. To give an example, you buy a bond, in this case, the Minnesota Vikings, NFL team. It says right here, okay, you bought a bond worth, they might sell you a bond. Sometimes, like NFL teams, they'll sell you a bond so you can do some financing. So they might want to build a new stadium. And then they'll pay you back interest payments, and then in the life of the bond, they'll pay you back whatever your bond was worth. You bought a $5,000 bond or a $10,000 bond. Okay, so the entries to record bond issuance and interest expense. Here, par value means the bond's original value. So here the bond was worth $100,000. You sold it for $100,000 at 8% interest, and semi-annually. It means twice a year, June 3rd, December 31st, you'll get interest. And it's for 2 years. So every time you pay back interest, remember it's $100,000 of par value times interest, and now it's half a year because, like it says, it's every 6 months. So 6 over 12, half a year. So again, twice a year, you'll get $4,000 return back. Again, to the company, it's an expense. So you debit expense to increase and credit cash, so it could go down because, well, cash is being decreased now. And you do the same entry twice a year for 2 months. Because again, the bond's for 2 years. That's when it matures. And again, now you pay back the principal at maturity. The payable's gone. You want to debit the payable to get it off your books. And you credit cash because, well, cash is going down. You have to pay $100,000 to get it off your books. Again, issuance. Cash, bonds payable. Remember, it's issued at par, how much it's worth. Every 6 months, you just repeat the same entry. 6 months over the life of the bond. And at maturity, you want to get rid of the liability, decrease it, and you want credit cash, so cash can go down. Now, remember, they're not always going to sell at par. It means the exact value that it's worth. Sometimes they're going to be selling at a premium. You get a little more. Or the opposite, a discount. Again, it talks about what's the contract rate. Compared to the market rate. It means, okay, what's in your contract comparing to what's it selling at on the market. Again, now it says here, okay, the $100,000 bond is selling 96%. Interest rate is 8%, market's 10%. So you'll get 96.45. So you receive $96,454 for the bond, even though it's worth $100,000. Okay, so again, let's look at how it works here. Now, even though it's worth $100,000, you're still going to put bonds payable, credit that liability, you're going to owe $100,000. Okay, that's not going to change. Now, here's where it will change. Even though it's worth $100,000, you didn't get $100,000. Company did not receive. You received $96,454. Because again, now it's a discount on the bonds payable. You want to debit that because it's contra liability. It'll go under liabilities, but it's going to decrease the liability. Okay, its value. So again, here it says, okay, the difference is how much cash it's worth and how much we received. And we're going to amortize it. It means, all right, we see the total discount. We're going to split it out. Divide by 4 periods. It's for 2 years, twice a year. So that's 4 periods. So if you notice right here, interest payment doesn't change, $4,000. Interest expense will be the payment plus the amortization amount. And if you notice here, we started at what we received for it, but at the end, it'll be $100,000. Again here, see how it worked out here. And take the total here. Another way to look at it is this way. Take the 4 payments of $16,000 plus a discount, divide by 4. That's your interest expense. The cash you pay out, that's not going to change here. $4,000. But we want to credit discount on bonds payable because at the end of it, when we reach maturity, we want it to be obviously 0. Okay, let's see how it works here. Again, follow the period here. Again, we'll start with the carrying value. In here, divide many periods. We notice $60 per period. If you notice, it keeps going down by $62 up until, of course, it gets back to its carrying value. You see the bonds payable starts at $7,000. Again, if you notice, the discounts are at $248. But remember, when we're done with it, it's going to be 0. And how about the journal entry? Again, it doesn't change here. Tell how much cash you receive. Take the discount, the entire amount. You want to credit bonds payable for the amount that it's worth, $7,000. That's how much we owe, even though we didn't receive the full $7,000 for it. So again here, start with the first one, bond interest expense here. You're going to credit the discount bonds payable, it's $2. And how much cash total? Again, you repeat the same entry now for 2 years. Twice a year. And again, look how it works here. Remember, the total is, and at the end, that's a total bonus expense. We see the entire amount. Okay, continue on. Again, at the end, when it matures, again, that doesn't change here. Even though we didn't receive $7,000 for it, we have to pay back $7,000, decrease the payable, get off your books of liability, and credit cash how much cash you actually paid for it. Now to the opposite, premium. Premium means you received extra. If you notice right here, it's worth $100,000, but you received $103,546. Because again, the interest rate is 12%, the market was only paying 10%. That means it's sold at a premium. So again, if you notice here, the bonds payable, that doesn't change. We're still going to owe $100,000. But now, you received $103,546. You want to increase cash. And then again, the difference goes, you want to credit premium bonds payable. It means extra premium you got for it. So we see right here, as we look on the balance sheet, it's worth $100,000, but the carrying value will be $103,546. That's the extra premium. And it doesn't change here. Take obviously the premium, divide by 4 periods, $887. The cash, $6,000. If you subtract it, that'll be your bond interest expense. Again, similar to what we did earlier, amortize. If you notice here, we started at $103,546 for received for, but at the end, we want to go back to the original value, its par value. Again, the payment stays the same, $600,000, and spread out the premium. Again, if you notice the total at the end, should match how much the original premium was, $3,546. Again, here, some example. Again, here, start just what we did earlier. Carrying value. Look at that. We see the bonds payable, $7,000. And again, the premium should be at the end, 0. As we allocate it. Again here, start with the cash. How much cash did you actually receive for it? Credit premium and the bonds payable to increase them. Again, amount repaid minus amount borrowed. Interest expense. Okay, and again, we talked about earlier, just repeat the same entry twice a year for over the period of its till it matures. This is for 2 years. So twice a year, that's 4 times we do the same entry over 2 years. And again, the last part, you pay back the bond at maturity. You debit to get rid off your books, to decrease it. and you credit cash because it's going down cash. Okay, let's talk about the retirement of bonds. Okay, for whatever reason, decide to get rid of your bonds. We talked about earlier, retirement bonds maturity. We know we're going to debit bonds payable, decrease the bonds payable, get off our books and credit cash, so we'll use cash to pay for it. How about before maturity? Sometimes, again, you might have a gain or sometimes you might have a loss here. If the carrying value is higher than the retirement price, you got a gain. If it's less, you have a loss here. So here it says, okay, callable bonds means the company can call it early. Even if it's, like, say, 2 years, after 1 year, they can call the bond and not pay any more interest. So again, if you notice, it's $100,000 bonds. So first, I want to debit bonds payable to get off our books. You also want to debit the premium to get that off your books. So both these are being decreased. And again, you paid $103,000 cash for it. So you actually got a gain on it because it's worth $104,500. You only paid $103,000, and you want to credit any gains. Another thing you can do is convert to stock. Say, the interest is pretty low. The company's paying out a higher dividend for stocks. I want some stock. Maybe you want some ownership. So again here, you want debit bonds payable to get off your books, being removed. Credit common stock for how much it's worth. It's 15,000 shares at $2 each. The difference goes to a new account called paid in capital. It's par value. You get an extra $70,000 here. That means the amount is over its original value. And again, we talk about different notes here. Remember, people can get a lot of notes for a lot of stuff, long-term notes, but the two most popular things people get loans for notes is houses and cars. And again here, the big difference is when you make payments here. Remember, you're going to make the same amount payment every month, every period, and you have to pay back. In the meantime, it'll change. How much goes to principal, how much goes to interest. Again, you make regular payments of principal plus interest. So again, when you first get a loan here, it says, okay, you borrowed $60,000 from the bank, 8% note. It says, okay, you make 3 annual payments. You pay just once a year. Principal plus interest. Now, if you notice, when you first get cash is going up $60,000. And you have a notes payable here. That also was increased. So again, it says, okay, you owe $60,000. To get the payment, divide the face amount of the note, $60,000, by the present value factor in your books. So we see here, take the $60,000, divide by the 2.5771. Every year, you're going to make a $23,280 payment. That includes principal plus interest. So we see right here, every month, start with the $60,000. If we see $4,800 that goes to interest. The other amount going to notes payable, because again, that's how the total is. The total doesn't change how much you pay every year. But if you notice, every time you make a payment, interest is being decreased, and notes payable amount is going up until, of course, your balance becomes zero when you make all your payments. So we see here, the accounts stay the same here. Okay, debit interest expense to increase it, debit notes payable decrease it, and credit cash to decrease it. And the amount of cash you pay stays the exact amount the same, doesn't change. Remember, every time you make a payment, your interest expense should be increased. Your interest expense should be decreased, but your notes payable should be increased. Again, this note, you make it, for 3 years, once a year. Using the same exact accounts and same amount for cash. The only difference will be in the interest expense and notes payable. Again, mortgage and note bond. Again, those are your long-term kind payables. Again, just about earlier. This would be an example of the present value factor in the book to get the payment. Again, do the table here. If you notice here, the amount of cash you pay stays the same here. The notes payable, your balance goes down by how much it goes right here in notes payable. Up until, of course, the balance becomes zero when you pay it all off. So we see here, start with the first one. You got the $1,000 loan here. And again, you have your interest here, notes payable. We know we're going to pay every month, or in this case every year, $282. Continue on, just like we did earlier. And sometimes the last year, a lot of times you might have to round up or down a little bit. That's fine. And compare then again some features of bonds and notes. Again, some of the differences here. Look at different ratios here. Debt to equity, how to determine the risk of investing in a company. Okay, how much liability do we have to compare to equity? It's very important here. You always want more equity. Again, bond pricing. Compare the part of life. Present value discount bond. Again here, another way to find the issue price. Okay. All right, class. That's all we got for this week. All right. Thank you.